Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday. Today is Friday, March 15th. And anybody here locally in Colorado, hope you guys are surviving the snow and got through everything safely. But a lot of news, man. A lot of news around the NFL and the Broncos and George Payton and Sean Payton. They are just falling asleep at the wheel, it seems like. But personally, I'm okay with it. I think it shows that they got a plan. They're not going to be overly desperate, and they understand that we're not going to be a better football team if we sign some sort of average, expensive backup quarterback. Um, so I'm good that they're happy that they're doing what they do. But one really significant move that did happen today was the Minnesota Vikings made a huge move. They made a trade to acquire an additional first round pick. They made a change with the Texans. So now Minnesota Vikings are picking at pick number 11 and pick number 23, I think. So they were already one spot ahead of us, and somebody that we already kind of had to worry about was going to maybe jump and grab a quarterback that maybe Denver was wanting. Well, that's pretty much 100% guarantee as to what they're going to do moving forward. Clearly, their plan is to make a move for a quarterback if needed. And I think depending on how the draft hands out, it might be a move up to six, it might be a move up to four. I don't think they'll be able to make a move in the top three because, frankly, I don't think those three teams are trading their picks. And that's kind of a thing I kind of get sick of hearing, and a narrative I get sick of hearing is Broncos should sell the house or they should mortgage their entire future to get up into the top three. That's fine, but you still have to. It takes two to tango, right? If the Broncos were picking at pick number one, pick number two, or pick number three, is there any compensation package that you would be okay with them giving up? And if the answer is no, which it should be, then what makes you think these other teams are not thinking the same thing? All three of them are extremely quarterback needy, all of them. So it's not. It was never really that realistic that we were going to jump into the top three. Now going up to number four, we can do that, sure, if you're comfortable with the number four quarterback, and if there's a consensus, it seems like kind of right now is JJ McCarthy, and I can assure you that if JJ McCarthy is Sean Payton's guy, he is going to do whatever it takes to get to number four, and that'll trump everything that Minnesota Vikings and them are doing. So I think it's time, Broncos country. I think it's time for you guys, for us all, to come to terms with the fact that Bo Nix is probably Sean Payton's guy. And I kind of knew that from the beginning. Not just me. Like when you watch him and when you kind of do a lot of digging into the scouting reports or whatever you do. There's a lot of people that I follow. I'm not like film expert. I'm not going to sit there and watch just a bunch of film, but there's a lot of guys that I trust. And you see a consensus across the board, and 90% of them will talk about his skill sets being kind of similar. Very, very smart guy, 61 games that he started in college. He's a little bit of an older prospect, but he's got a ton of experience, super cerebral and smart. And he doesn't thrive in one particular area, but he's very, very good across the board. And that screams Sean Payton. Another thing I encourage you guys to all do is go watch Joel Klatt's video. Joel Klatt is somebody that I heavily respect when it comes to college quarterback play and the opinions of these college prospects in general, but specifically with quarterbacks. He's unbelievably insightful. He's smart. He doesn't really have any bias, and he's normally pretty damn right. And so if he says something, I always listen. And he had ranked his top quarterbacks. He did put Bo Nix as number 6, but the disclaimer on there was like he's definitely a first round pick. He feels like it's such a deep class, and he even mentions himself. He says this is a perfect fit for Sean Payton. Somebody that if Sean Payton and the Broncos pick him at 12, it absolutely makes sense. And that's something that we need to really understand, is that it's not about the talent or the projections or what these players can do. Fit is going to trump everything else, everything. Across the board, Jaden Daniels is in everybody's top 3 in terms of the quarterbacks. There's not one list I've seen where Jaden Daniels is not in the top 3, and that's great. But Bo Nix and Sean Payton's system is a better fit than Jaden Daniels and Sean Payton's system. That's just kind of the facts of it. And another thing to compare that to is look at Brock Purdy, right? Brock Purdy was a 7th round pick. And the reason that he fell is because he was undersized, didn't really have a strong arm. He had a lot of experience, but he was just fine Wasn't anything that special. Didn't really feel like he didn't have much of a ceiling at all. So teams don't like that. Teams are not going to sit there and waste premium picks on guys that they project don't really have a high ceiling. Now, obviously, the NFL was wrong, and the San Francisco 49ers just frankly got lucky because they passed on him 7 or 8 times before they ultimately chose him with the last pick in the 7th round. But Brock Purdy would not have the success that he's had so far in this league if he wasn't in that system, right? Not saying that he's necessarily a system quarterback, but he fits so well into what Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers want to do. And I think that that should really show that fit is everything. I still think Brock Purdy would have been good with like McVay, and he might have been good with in Green Bay under Matt LaFleur. But those guys all kind of come from the same system. It's a system that fits. But could you imagine what Brock Purdy would look like if he played in Philadelphia? He would never sniff the field, or if he played in Baltimore. So it's all about the system fit for these players. And I kind of view Bo Nix as being like that. Bo Nix is not going to be extremely intriguing to a lot of these quarterback needy teams, or frankly, a lot of the teams in the NFL in general. Even though you can still see that there is a ceiling, he's got a significantly stronger arm than Brock Purdy does. He's got more arm talent than what it showed. He's got just as much, if not more, mobility. He's a little bit of a bigger guy, got a lot of experience. So he's definitely got some traits that are above where Brock Purdy was. But he doesn't have the strongest arm. He doesn't have this make these crazy athletic plays or throwing in different arm angles or any of this other crazy stuff that people seem to fall in love with. And I think that's why he's not up there in the tier with the Drake Mays, the Jaden Daniels, and the Caleb Williams. But he fits Sean Payton's system perfectly. When you watch interviews with this guy and you just hear him talk and you hear how mature he is, he's an older prospect, you can just really begin to understand why the fit is there. And then to take it to another level, he was on Field Yates was talking on 104.3 The Fan with Schlereth and Evans earlier. I think it was yesterday morning or Tuesday morning. It was one of these days. Anyways, he was chatting with them and he said that there's a lot of scouts that'll say his game, his frame, the way that he looks and kind of carries himself is very similar to Drew Brees. And I kind of get sick of like Sean Payton is trying to find his new Drew Brees, like the comparison. I mean, I get that they're kind of married in that sense, but all of these little things are just pointing to Bo Nix being the guy. And also it's not just what you say, it's a lot of it is about what you do. And the Broncos' lack of doing anything, we don't really have any interest in moving up, which makes sense because we don't necessarily have all the resources to, but we have no interest in moving up because we know we don't need to move up for Bo Nix. We could probably still move back and take Bo Nix. Now, I definitely would not do that. It would be so stupid for us to move back a few picks and still take Bo Nix. And I'll tell you why. This is dumb. We can get into all that, but it'd be stupid. But they know that they can just hang around at 12 and be able to still take Bo Nix. If they get blown away by an offer where they, are able to get a second round pick this year or a future one for somebody that wants to move up, fine, you do it, and then you hope that you can still get Bo Nix later, and then you can really double up and get some more guys. But it just seems like that's what they're going to do. They know that they don't really have to do anything; they can kind of just stay put and focus on what they want to focus on. Now, what I did find to be weird is that their lack of making moves in general. I didn't necessarily think that they would make a quarterback move, but the rest of the roster still needs to get filled out. But I think that they're really still evaluating a lot of that. They are bargain hunting. They are shopping at Walmart. No pun intended. We have the Walmart owners that they're looking to get bargain deals and high productivity on the players and guys that are young. And that is the way to rebuild a team properly. So it's more me running out of patience, but I think it's the right move. So yeah, but I mean, it's crazy. You look at the quarterback carousel now. I mean, Jimmy G signed, Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell, Desmond Ritter, Joe Flacco, Gardner Minshew, Brissett, Darnold, Locke, Cousins, Mayfield, Winston, Mariota, Tyrod Taylor, Rudolph, Trubisky, even the random guy that signed, he used to be with the Rams, forgot his name. they're all signed, all of them. So really, when you look at the only options that we have, we got like Ryan Tannehill, who I'll tell you is more intriguing than Jimmy G was, and a trade for Fields. But guys, if you sign Ryan Tannehill or you trade for Fields, which would make zero sense to do trade for Fields, it doesn't really make much of a difference to the outlook of the team. It only would if you don't take a quarterback in the first round, which at this particular point, there is just no way we're doing that. It just doesn't seem like that's something that's even feasible. Um, I always felt like if they got a Darnold or if they traded for a Sam Howell, maybe they could just comfortably go BPA. But now they're almost showing their hand and they don't really care. It is a little bit weird, but I think that you guys should all start being familiar with Bo Nix. Do your research, look into him, whether you like it or not. But I think he's somebody without a doubt can be a great fit here in Denver. He seems like he's a really sharp dude. Obviously, 61 starts in college equals seeing a lot of different defenses, seeing a lot of looks, being in several different kinds of offenses. I mean, even though he was in Oregon, I think he had two different OCs in the 2 years there, and then the same kind of thing in Auburn. So he's seen a lot of football, and that's a really good thing when you're coming in on Sean Payton, because Sean Payton kind of has a history. He doesn't really like um, starting rookies in general because they're not always going to be cerebral or mentally ready to play for the most part, especially at quarterback. But if there is anybody in this draft class that can, from a cognitive standpoint, fit right in and be able to run his offense right away, it's probably going to be Bo Nix, to be honest. So it's kind of been somebody I've been linking the whole time. The more I look into him and the more I kind of listen to what he said, it just seems to make sense. Like my guy in this draft is Drake May. I've always said that, but I just don't think it's realistic that he's going to get there, barring something crazy. And I'm willing to bet that 4 of the first 6 picks are going to be quarterbacks. Now, listen, when we're at 12, Bo Nix should definitely be there, and if we traded back, Bo Nix will probably still be there. But here's why trading back would be stupid, in my opinion, because nothing is. A lot of it is about messaging and about what you put out there. When you see a team that's moved up to grab a quarterback, you're always like, man, that team is bought in. They're all in on this guy. They traded up to get him. They targeted their guy, and that's a good narrative. It kind of has this initial, like, the quarterback feels like, oh damn, this team wanted me, and then the franchise is committing and telling everybody we are committing 100% to this guy. When you kind of trade back, you're saying, yeah, we traded back because we didn't love you at 12. We wanted to get more picks, but you were still there at 44, so we took you. So it's basically sending the message of, we don't love you, but we liked you enough to take you at 24. I don't know. That might just be me being stupid, but I feel like every single time I've seen a team trade back and still end up with a quarterback, or they trade back up into the top of the first round to get a quarterback, it usually doesn't work, right? So yeah, there's that. And I think going up and trading up into the top of the first round or going aggressively to get your guy, that's always a good move too. People are always like, listen, the draft is always a gamble, right? I equate drafting with gambling. Now, you're either going to conservatively gamble and just say, we're going to take the least risk, best player available, or you're saying, if we're going to gamble, you should always gamble on a quarterback, because if you hit, you're going to hit real big. Now, if you don't, you're going to lose anyways. But yeah, so those are really the 2 options, but I don't see us trading up being an option. I don't see Justin Fields being an option. I think the Broncos, before when it's all said and done, I think that we are definitely going to draft Bo Nix. I would even be fine with drafting another guy like the 7th round or 6th round, or a couple undrafted free agent guys. But I don't think we're actually going to bring in a free agent quarterback until after the draft and maybe well into training camp. Because at training camp, you always see guys that end up getting cut, released, traded, prior because somebody beat them out or whatever it might be. So not surprised if you wait that long. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Always more content to come. I'm going to continue to try to post as much as I can on here. If you are new to the channel, if this is your first time watching it, a thumbs up, a like, a subscribe would all be super appreciated. And for those of you that don't really know about how I'm doing this channel, I am just doing it raw footage live, not really doing much prep. You're not going to see any cute, sexy edits or anything like that. It's just going to be quick video where you can get some information. And please, if you guys would ever like to debate, comment, have a conversation, I let anybody on the show. Everybody's welcome. If I've never met you before, let's organize it. Let's make it a thing to where just people can come on and have live debates and go from there. Make it a fun thing. So y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Take it easy, and a mile high salute to y'all. Take it easy. Bye bye.